Hello and welcome to the old Fliers. I'm reading Christopher Robin's book Air America at the moment. The story of how America's Central Intelligence Agency ran various clandestine operations around the world. Their Air America was once the biggest airline in the world with many types of aircraft. America's involvement in the secret wars in Africa, Tibet and Laos is perhaps not that well known, a fact that they are happy to keep that way. Air America's support of the non-communist forces in Laos proved particularly difficult work. The mercenary army relied on Air America for support. Laos is a remote and mountainous country where there are few roads. What would take natives 8 days by foot was accomplished by plane in 30 minutes. The rugged terrain limited landing strips to the size of football fields. Major Harry Heine Aderholt, who headed the Air Force Unconventional Warfare Unit based in Okinawa, was tasked with finding a suitable short takeoff and landing aircraft for these missions. He said, "We were looking for an airplane that we could clandestinely infill and exfil people. We also wanted the capacity of picking up downed pilots out of the range of helicopter. This was in the days before long-range choppers." End of quote. The CIA wanted a plane which could be used to evacuate the royal families and key government employees of Southeast Asian countries where airports might be closed as a result of riot or communist coup. They considered an inflatable rubber prototype which could be dropped by parachute. The Goodyear rubber airplane weighed 300 pounds and had a little engine. Put on a prop and away you went. Aderholt said, "Somebody told me that there was a missionary who had been flying down in South America in a special plane." End of quote. This was a Helio-Courier. In 1958, its makers put on a demonstration of its versatility in Baltimore. Aderholt bought one and tried it. They bought another and put long-range tanks on it, a bigger engine, a different prop, different wheels. Then we had our plane. It was introduced into Laos in 1960 and became the agency's favourite workhorse. It was a conventional-looking small airplane that could fly at 185 miles per hour, yet could land on the roughest, unprepared strip in 120 feet. Its ability to land while turning meant it could use strips that were curved. Its airspeed could be as low as 35 miles per hour due to large Fowler flaps, leading edge slats, and a larger propeller geared to run slowly. In a 15 miles per hour headwind, it could slow to 20 miles per hour ground speed. Soon there were hundreds of Helios under US Army insignia, US Air Force insignia, foreign insignia, as well as Air America insignia. There was even a rare twin-engined Helio. Flying the Helio had particular problems and pilots did not always share their superiors' enthusiasm for the craft. Bob Dawson said, "The Helio was a tricky, sneaky little son of a bitch." End of quote. Robert Warford agreed. "It's a tricky airplane, a nasty little bugger. It had some very tricky control features which made it particularly difficult to handle in a crosswind, but it's a tough little airplane and served us admirably." End of quote. Lee Damon, the man later in charge of Air America's STOL program and who checked out new pilots on the plane, said, "It separated the men from the boys." End of quote. I bet it did. The first Helio strips were opened in Laos in 1963. Ron Sutpen flew over friendly villages with General Vang Pao, dropping messages instructing natives to clear sites. Aderholt said, "Afterwards we'd go and look at a strip, and if it looked all right, land on it. There were strips in northern Laos that were just unbelievable." End of quote. These rugged new strips would form a countrywide network of what became known as Lemma Sites. The most treacherous strip was at Phong Sally, up near the Chinese border. So many man-eating tigers roamed the runway at night that Special Forces troops were obliged to kill them using chickens as bait with primed hand grenades attached to them. This airstrip was 600 feet long, carved into a mountain at 6,000 feet with a 20-degree bend at 200 feet, followed by another. A pilot would have completed a half circle whilst landing. The secret was to land early or late in the day when thermals were minimal. The Helio was largely succeeded by the PC-6 Pilatus Porter, designed to operate in the Swiss Alps, powered by an enormous turboprop engine and capable of carrying 10 passengers. Bob Dawson said, "They are fabulous planes to fly, although you get no speed out of them. There is nothing tricky or dangerous about this airplane. It is just as honest as it can be. I've never flown in an airplane as safe, reliable and predictable." End of quote. So, what was the result of Air America's involvement in Laos? Between 1964 and 1973, the US dropped 2 million tons of bombs on Laos, equal to all the bombs the US dropped on Europe and in Asia during World War II. Laos is the most heavily bombed country relative to the size of its population. Even today, 50 Laotians die each year from unexploded bombs. In 1975, Pathet Lao deposed the royalist government to form a Marxist-Leninist one-party socialist republic. Seems like the CIA didn't get the result they wanted. It was also in 1975 that neighbouring Vietnam fell to the communist North Vietnam forces. Neighbouring Cambodia's civil war also ended in 1975 with Republican rule replaced by the Khmer Rouge until they were toppled by the Vietnamese in 1979. Today, Cambodia has a constitutional monarchy. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe to promote new material.